Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dr. Vanessa with Hush No More with Dr. Vanessa podcast. And I am so honored to be with you for another amazing episode with another amazing guest. First, I just want to thank you all for just rocking with us, supporting us, sharing our videos, the donations, and just loving on Hush No More, loving on me. That means so much to me. I also want to thank our sponsor, CTR Media Network. If you haven't checked out CTR Media Network, that is where our podcast is housed. They have amazing shows, amazing podcasts. Everything is family friendly. So I encourage you to check it out because not only do they support us, they support other organizations as well. And so I'm really grateful for CTR Media Network and Dr. Tina. So I got my sponsorship out of the way. I am so grateful for this opportunity to interview the amazing Miss Karol. I am going to talk to her today, and it's going to be very interesting because I know y'all seen the title "Surviving 48 Years of Marriage." So I'm going to bring her on so that you can meet her and enjoy her like I have. Hello, Miss Beautiful Karol. How are you today?
I'm doing beautifully. Thank you, Dr. Vanessa. So
You're
glad to
doing,
be with you.
beautifully. I
I
love
love
it.
the word beautiful. I use it all the time. This is a beautiful day, and it was
Yes.
good to talk to you.
I love it because anytime somebody could say, I'm willing to share my story, I'm willing to hush no more because I'm in such a great place. I've done the work. I am healed. I am loved. I am excited about my new journey. I want to share your story. And so thank you. I honor you and I thank you for just giving us the opportunity to do so. So are you ready to get in this?
I sure am. Thank
All
you.
right, love. So what is your hush topic? What is Miss Carol's hush topic?
Well, my hush topic, I like you had the headlines. I was married to one man for a long time, but it ended up in wasn't always domestic violence type of situation, but it turned that way. But I am surviving of that. I was hussed about it for a long time,
Hmm?
but I learned that is you have to talk so
You
that
got
you
to talk
never
about it
know who needs to hear your story to help them.
to help them. Well,
Yeah.
how old were you when you got married? That's what I want. I was like, she been married 48 years. You look really good, right? You don't look old. You look great.
Well,
How
thank you.
old were you?
So he was my high school sweetheart. So we were together since 11th grade. And so we were together for 4 years before we got married. So I don't even remember how old I was, in about 22.
Okay.
And I'm 73 now.
Wow. So how many years do you feel like were good years? How many
I would
years?
say, I would say, I'd say most of them. I'd say at least 8 years. I mean, 40 years.
40 years. So
Yeah,
you had 40
how many
years.
years? Yeah, I wasn't perfect, but I was happy. I was happy. We were doing well. So I think there was some medical issues that triggered the change.
Okay. Okay. How many kids do you
We have three children. One has passed away, Adia, who was the oldest, and she's discovered she could paint during the pandemic. And this image of Harriet behind me is one of her paintings.
have? Cool. Okay. So three kids
And five grandchildren.
and five grandchildren. Okay.
Yes.
So, who is Miss Karol? Tell me about Karol before we get into the last years of your marriage.
All right. I was born and raised in Dayton, Ohio. I come from a family of four, two girls, two boys. I was the oldest girl. And I had a nice childhood. I enjoyed being close to family. My grandmother lived down the street. We had plenty of cousins around. Went to high school. I was a cheerleader and had fun all the way through school. Like I said, I married my high school sweetheart, James Brown, and had our children. I was a registered dietitian by trade, and I did that for 40 plus years. Most of it was at the VA hospital in Tacoma, Washington, Seattle, Washington, as a dietitian. And I also managed the weight management program. On the side, though, I started performing as Harriet Tubman. I do a one-person show where I become the elderly Harriet Tubman. And the reason I decided to do her as the older version of Harriet is so I could tell her whole life story. The part on the Underground Railroad was like 8 years in her younger years. She lived to be 93 years old. And so there's a whole lot more to Harriet to tell. So I use Harriet Tubman's stories to teach self love. I say it was no way that she could have believed that she would be free or could be free if she didn't first feel she was worthy of it and that she loved herself. And she had that vision. She was a visionary. She had that dream in her heart that could not be taken from her. And she accomplished that. But then she went back for other people. So I like to teach self love as how it protects you and keeps you in good health and good experiencing in life, good relationships. But when you love yourself, that enables you more to love other people. And her compassion and her determination to bring her family to freedom is a story that I see as the most important part of Harriet. And so that's what I use to teach her. And I've always been very active in my community. I now live in Washington State near Seattle. And we moved to the Seattle area in 1978. Right away, I got a job at the VA hospital within 6 months and been there and retired from there for 30 years. Yeah.
Well, as a veteran, I want to thank you for your service because if it wasn't for wasn't for you, this helped us keep going. So thank you from one veteran. So we feel that way. We love y'all. We give y'all a hard time at the VA, but at the end of the day, we love you because we need you, right? So thank you.
Right. Well, the VA's happy to serve all the veterans, and most of the VA employees I ever met were very willing and excited to help veterans. I see I have a classmate on
You
it from
do. So
Roosevelt High School. Hey,
so
Rhoda, good to have
I
you there.
Carol
Thank
Brown, my childhood friend. So she's here. So before we do this, I wanted to make sure you know Miss Brenda here. Thank you, Miss Brenda, for joining us.
thank you,
All
Miss
right.
Brenda.
So you said the last 6 years of your marriage is when things changed. So I didn't understand. I'm like, you had like this marriage that everybody was like, they're married over 40 years, like bragging on your relationship. Like y'all had the life that a lot of people wanted. The husband, the family, the kids, the good careers. You were living that life. What changed?
James was a very private person, and now he was always jealous. And I always had him looking over what I did and where I done and if I talked to a man, but it wasn't violent. It wasn't, a friend told me after I told my story, you never know that sometimes you don't know you're in prison until you get out. So to me back then I was fine, it was the marriage I had. But he got ill and he had a type of blood cancer that was long term. So it put him on medications for a lengthy time. Uh, in 2014, he was in the hospital for 10 days. Nobody's in the hospital for that long if it's not something wrong. And they did see some changes in his brain at that time. So the next year we moved back to Ohio. Just he and myself left the children because they're grown, they got their own lives. Um, and shortly after being back there, we were just driving down the road one day in an old neighborhood where we had lived before. And all of a sudden, he brought up old arguments of accusing me of being unfaithful that never happened. And it just continued to get worse and worse from there. It was in the car, it was a slap in the face right then. And that was shocking, but it didn't get any better. I did like most women who are in this type of situation. I left probably 3 or 4 times. And then I came back and let nobody know. So, you know, he always was apologizing, but he still blamed me. You know, fortunately to me, um, I did get some help with when I got out and with the grief that generated from the situation. Like I said, I was with him for all of my adult life pretty much, and you just can't imagine why the change. Um, I finally had to come out and tell my family because my mother moved in with us. She's 100 years old, and well, 99 when she moved in. She lived with us for 3 years. And I thought, he thought, somebody lived with us, it would be better. Well, it didn't get any better. It might not have been as open, but it was still there. And she felt it. She could feel the stress and she wasn't comfortable. So a couple of times I left the house and had to take my mother with me for a hotel over my sister's house overnight, but I still came back. And then finally, God told me, get out one night after seemingly a pleasant day, a pleasant night. We watched a movie up in the bedroom, watching the movie, and he went to the bathroom after it was over and came back. He's a different person. Now, I know the clues. I was familiar with the clues to get up and get out before things rotate more than I wanted to be. I had another room that I could lock and stay in. But that night, God said, get out. And I listened. So the next day, I let him know I was getting a divorce. And I found an apartment, and my mother and I moved out. And I tell you, I share this in my TED talk. It felt like I knew what Harriet was talking about, to be free for the first time, because it felt like, just so much lifted off of me. It just felt like I was flying like a butterfly. And yeah, that was a special um, awakening to what I was living in and how it was really weighing me down. I couldn't be myself the way I used to be. I was not able. I was wanting to rewrite one of my books, and I just couldn't get to it. I was in prison. I was in prison during that time, um, and it felt really heavy.
Can I
Yeah,
ask you a couple of tough questions?
sure.
And I wanna ask these questions because sometimes society act like they don't understand. Or they become judgmental, right? So that's why I'm asking you. Why did you stay? Why did you decide to stay after the first hit or after the second hit, locking yourself in a room? Why did you stay?
I ask myself that, and I ask myself why women feel ashamed to tell somebody. And I guess you feel like, well, like I said, I've been with this man all my life, and it wasn't his really usual personality. And I was hoping that things would not continue, and that when he said, "I'm sorry," in a minute, you just hold on to that hope that things will get better and things will change, instead of realizing it's not going to change.
Not gonna change. Yeah, yeah. For you, it was different because he got sick. This wasn't who he was at the very beginning. And I
No.
don't think people look at that because individuals have Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's, sometimes they get angry and frustrated. Cancer, different diseases can cause you to become violent. And that's what happened for you. So it wasn't your norm. So I could see how that was very difficult. Do you think that you would have stayed if your children were younger?
If my children were younger, no, because they would have been witnessing that. and that wasn't the appropriate place for them. Now, I was primarily the breadwinner. I I always had a job to made more than him. I know some women stay for financial reasons,
Mhm.
um, and so if my children were smaller, I would have been able to feel like I could move and take them and they'd be safer. Um, he was actually a really good father. Um, and like I said, our marriage was not bad most of the time.
Yeah.
But I think having the children there would have, I wouldn't want them to see or to hear or to be in the atmosphere of that type of relationship that was not healthy for the kids.
It wouldn't have been. And people look at this differently. Some people say, well, I'm going to stay because I want to stay because the father is a good father. There's different reasons, financial. For you, your kids was grown. And so that's the question. You didn't have any kids holding you back. You was financially sustaining yourself. Like you was the breadwinner. And so people will often they don't understand, right? And like when you're at a low point, when you're locking yourself up in the room, what was that for you? Like what was like going through your head when you're in the room hiding? How was that for you?
On this night, crying and what can I do? I talked to God. What is the answer? And He said, get out.
Get out.
And I listened. I also I'm into a lot of holistic medicines and healthcare, and I was seeing um, our Ayurveda practitioner at the time, and she helped me get through the grief. So I want to add a little bit to this story. Um, so when I left, it was 2021, I believe, and in the summer, my mother's birthday was going to be in December, her 100th birthday, and we were having a big party, family, and kids coming. And he talked to me, and the kids were staying for Christmas. Her birthday is December. Talked me into coming and staying in the house during this time with the kids being there, so they wouldn't have to go back and forth to where we were. We went back, and after Christmas, things be going right. I made a mistake of moving back at the end of January. Moved back into the house. Within 2 weeks, I knew that wasn't going to work. I had to move back out. So I lost my apartment, had to get another apartment, move my mother. It was quite, quite things going on. But when I was in my Ayurveda practitioner, I asked her, why does he do this? And she actually gave me a referral for a book that is named that. Why does he do this? I don't remember the author's name, but I got the book. I think I had it on audiobooks. I lost all my audiobooks, but it explained the mentality behind it and how he was a counselor, he counseled men all the time. And it helped me understand that once you see this type of personality, it's not going to go away. And so I always stay connected with him because he was sick. He didn't have any money. Um, my mother and I moved out the house, but I was still paying the rent on the house. We sold the house. My divorce was final. He didn't want to sign the papers for the divorce. So it dragged out. And so 2023, our daughter, Adia, passed away in February of her cancer. My divorce was final in March. House was still getting sold. It got sold, but we had to vacate it and everything until the last day in June. I helped move him out of there. That was like June the 5th, I think. he called me June the 8th. He needed something. And like I said, I helped him out. He didn't have anyone else. I went there, helped him out. He wasn't feeling well. Ended up calling 911. They came and got him. I drove behind the ambulance to the hospital. Time I got out the car and got in there, he was being signed in. I don't know why they didn't take him straight back. He was being signed in and he stopped breathing. He died that night. And I was there. And that was hard. I mean, I'm sure it felt to me as if he was still my husband, you know. He had been all this time, and then he was gone. And also lost my mother in 23 in October. That was a hard year.
Baby, so you lost your daughter, your husband, and your mama in the
Yeah,
same year?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
But you know what? I was already on a awakening of my spirit, and my spiritual um, discipline and my meditation and my prayers brought me through that. And so my mother, I had to place in a facility because I couldn't handle her anymore in May. And he was gone in June. I'd already announced that I was moving back to Washington State. I planned on bringing my mother, but I wasn't able to bring her back. So I packed up my car with my little dog, and we drove back to Washington State in August. And so I was starting my life over again. And God blessed me with a new husband.
Before we get to this new man, you know, that was impressive to me, right? I was like, I don't even have a man. I was like, she had already got back in the game, right? I'm so proud of you. That's number one, right?
I'm just saying, you can't give up your life because
you can't give up your life. Yes, like because this happened. It was a really hard time for you, but I love that you're sharing your story, and this is what I want to say. People are very quick to judge. Why do individuals stay? Why do you put up with that? I would leave and I would never come back. But love is love. When you commit yourself to somebody and you love them, and as many years as y'all were together, and it doesn't seem like you just blame him for just being a bad man. You knew when life changed for him, like medically. So you could see it from that standpoint. But I'm proud of you and I honor you for sharing your truth because people need to understand that it's not always as simple as leave, right? There's other things. It's not always the kids, it's not always financial. You were the breadwinner,
yeah,
but you loved him and he was sick and you knew it. So it's hard even to leave somebody when you know they have cancer or they have a very serious disease. It's not as easy. And I don't think people think about why people really stay. So thank you for your truth.
mm-hmm.
Thank you for your truth. And I honor you so much because I can't imagine that was your best friend for
Yes,
a long time, a very
right.
long comments. Holly said, hey, Holly. Holly Walden, this is the first time she's caught our live. Woohoo! I'm so glad that you caught it, Holly. Thank you for joining us. And the heart wants who it wants. And that is so true. It wants who it wants. And love is love, right? And so you can't always control that, and it's not always easy. What is Miss Carol's life like today, baby? What's going on, Miss Carol, today?
It's funny coming back in Washington, and I moved into an area where my son lived. I moved into their house, so I got a chance to. So one reason I wanted to definitely come back, I love Washington State. I lived here for most of my adult life. I didn't want to move. He wanted to move, and my son has two younger kids that I didn't get to know. They were born after I left, and my oldest grandson lost his mother, so I wanted to be. And his father is not in, has never been in the picture, so I wanted to be here for them. So I'm closer to that family. My other daughter is in Atlanta, and we're pretty close anyway. So I don't know what it was. I think I met somebody during the summer of 23 who had met somebody online. And so I decided before I moved back that I got on eHarmony and played around with that a little bit. Come November, connected with Douglas Jones on eHarmony. And we chatted, found out things we had in common. I mean, he cared for his mother and his wife who died from cancer. Actually, she died a day and a year before James. And so he was alone himself, newly out of a relationship. Anyway, we connected in November, had our first date in January, and been together ever since. Got married last July. So I'm a newlywed still.
Congratulations. Yes, congratulations. I was like, all right for the eHarmony, right?
Yeah,
because
yeah,
because especially women don't always feel safe, especially women. We don't always feel safe being on social media, dating on social media, dating on apps, but that's becoming a common thing. So I wanted to make sure that we discuss that because a lot of women wouldn't even take the chance, and especially an older woman, a more seasoned woman is not trying to do social media or a dating app. So I really love that about you. What does healing look like for you? Because I know that was important before you went into another relationship. I caution people from going into another relationship and you ain't got yourself together from this last one. What did healing look like for you?
healing was being who I am and doing what makes me joyful. So I was saying that I was trying to rewrite my book. I've got 3 books that are written. The first one's 30 Lessons in Love, Leadership, and Legacy from Harriet Tubman. And this book talks about there's small little chapters. Each one has a lesson like support women or be humble or learn a little politics. And I was planning on redoing this one, but it turned out to be the Harriet Tubman Way, an inspirational guide to self-love, empowerment, and legendary leadership for girls. And I use this book to teach self-love. So writing this book that has also a journal helped me find my joy.
So writing.
Writing and teaching. I love to teach from it, and workshops, and being back out in the community. I was always in the community. I organized 10 years of breast cancer awareness programs here in Tacoma, Washington, before I left this area. And doing things, being back in the community, um, being back around my family and my friends. And at the same time, that same year, 2023, I was involved with Lisa Nichols. You know Lisa Nichols?
Mm-hmm.
I was on her one transformational training certificate. So I was also learning how to help other people transform their lives. And that also helped me. So being actively working on things that bring me joy. And that's what I try to teach to people. It's so important that we spend our time and our efforts in things that bring us joy. And that always brings you up in a better place in life when you do that.
Yeah, I love that. And transformation, you had to learn it for yourself in order to be able to help other people. I've
Yeah.
had people say, well, I want to help, especially like they're getting out of a domestic violence relationship. They want to help everybody. And I say, no, it starts with you. Do you think that you had self love while you were in the marriage?
Now, now, that's why I couldn't write that book. During that time, I was not practicing self love, and I couldn't be practicing self love and allow myself to be mistreated,
Yeah.
not respected, and for somebody to um, make me feel like I wasn't free anymore. I couldn't step out the door without it being where you're going, how long you're going to be, type of thing, you know. And yeah, I had to learn that transformation myself. And like I said, being with Lisa Nichols, she's a beautiful person.
She is.
Yes, and the beautiful people that I met while with her on our in my cohort, and just making up my mind that I'm going on in my life. I have a lot of things to still do. I still have big goals for myself right now. Um, the newest book is Get on Board the New Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman's Spirit is Guiding Us to Love and Actions. And this book is sort of a memoir where I tell part of the story I'm sharing with you.
Mhm.
It's part of Harriet's story, but it's basically encouraging us all to step up and do something for somebody else. Like the original Underground Railroad, it was people helping other people because they knew that slavery was wrong, and they could not sit back and not do anything to help. We have to do that today. And that's
Yeah.
what you're doing, Dr. Vanessa. This web, this podcast helps other people understand the importance of being loving themselves and keeping their joy in their hearts and moving forward no matter what the situation, and to tell their stories.
Thank you. I love how you equate Harriet Tubman in your healing journey in life and love, the sacrifices, because I didn't even get the connection until you reached out to me. But slavery and domestic violence can go hand in hand. It is very similar how people feel, right? They feel trapped. They feel like they can't get out. They don't have anywhere they could go. The person sometimes is the breadwinner and controlling everything. And how do you find freedom? And so I was really inspired by you because you found freedom and you were able to look historically of how you can get free, how to change, how to love, how to self love, how to love other people. And that is what it takes in our community. How do we support each other? And a lot of times people do not support you when you're going through this. And I think it's big to look at the life of Harriet Tubman and seeing that it is a major correlation. So kudos on that.
Thank you.
God gave you a vision with that one. I was like, oh, that's different.
It is different.
A lot.
It totally is different. And it's a vision that he gave me because, well, I was working at the VA hospital. Like I said, I was involved in different things. I was the coordinator for the Black History Month program, and I was also in Toastmasters. And I saw the movie with Cicely Tyson playing Harriet, and she told us one parable in there that I had not heard before, and I had to go research her. And then when I did that, I just fell in love with Harriet. I started with a short storytelling presentation in Toastmasters and carried it on to the Black History Month program, and then I found a way to get paid to go on stage and do Harriet, and traveled all over the state as Harriet Tubman. My husband traveled with me. He had a beautiful voice. He sang Negro spirituals. So we had a nice program. And by the way, I'll talk about in a few minutes a special offer I have. I made a full length movie of me as Harriet Tubman telling my stories and with his singing. And we made a movie out of it. And so I'm going to give people opportunity to check that out.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it up at the end because I want people to have a chance to be able to screenshot it, and I'll read it off too for our readers, for our listeners online. But there is a major correlation in that. And when I look at the life, I love Harriet Tubman too. Like my goal is to go to every Underground Railroad stop, like to just travel from Georgia all the way to New York. But I started in New York and started working my way down, which is different. Instead of, and I live in the South, but I started up north. So and she had struggles in her relationships as well, like, and being the breadwinner, and like, there's a lot of similarities, and I see that, and I'm just very proud of you, to show that story for us.
Thank you.
Okay. But is there anything else that you want to share, like, just about being? I want to know what will be your advice to someone that is married, right? Not even just in, because marriage and dating is different when it comes to domestic violence. People would disagree, but it is different. To someone who is married, what would your advice be to them?
I made a mistake to not say anything to anybody. Um, to help get out the situation, you need to talk to a trusted person who's going to support you and help you get out of the situation. Yeah, and to not be fearful, to be trusting and faithful that it's going to work out for you. I know a fear, they can put fear into your heart sometime. Don't let that happen. Trust, trust that God is with you, and that you deserve to be loved. You deserve to be happy. It's part of our DNA. We came here to be joyful, happy, and have a beautiful, uh, abundant life in this world we call Earth. And we can't let one person keep us from believing that in ourselves, because that's the truth.
That's the truth. Thank you. A trusted person could be a friend, but you got to make sure you talk to the right person.
Right, a trusted person.
You can't talk to everybody now, but the right trusted person. Sometimes it's not family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's a victim advocate, but there's somebody out here that loves you and will listen and be there for you. And you're right. When you decide to hush no more, that's how you get your power back.
Yes.
And I always say you got a right to tell it and heal. That's how you get your power back. That's how you get the support. That's how you get the resources. So that's real big. And I love to tell people that all the time. Miss Brenda said, Carol, I am so proud of you, your courage and strength. I remember us becoming exposed to Harriet Tubman at Grace A.
Green Elementary School. We go way back,
I
Brenda.
went to elementary. Now that's somebody to hold it down right there. Thank you for using Harriet's spirit as one of your tools.
Thank you, Brenda.
All the way back to elementary school. I love it. And that speaks highly of you, of the women that you are, and keeping those relationships. But 48 years is a long time, but it's something that you can honor and always love. She said, thanks, Vanessa, for this powerful show this evening. You're welcome, beautiful. And thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us. This is what we do every week. Is there anything that you want to share with the audience that I didn't get to share? I do want to show this is Get On Board, the new Underground Railroad. Do you want to explain this event one more time so that they could take the screenshot? And I'll also drop it in the chat.
Yes, I was part of a Juneteenth program on Friday, and I presented Harriet Tubman. And also I changed up my Harriet Tubman program. I used to do like a full 45 minutes of Harriet, but now I come out of Harriet and I reveal I'm the new Harriet Tubman. And I share my Get On Board, the new Underground Railroad book, and I share how I want people to be inspired to take some action. Love and actions is my slogan. And that's with the S on the end. I want love in all your actions, in your words, in your thoughts, in your relationships with other people, how you spend your money. Put your love into your actions. So this was my theme, but I offered the audience, I had it on a postcard I'm giving to you here, opportunity to watch, like I said, the book, my movie. It's a long movie, so I made it in 4 parts. So you can watch the first part free. If you're interested in the rest of it, get it all for $8 on my. And the QR code will take you to a landing page where you can access the movie. I know a lot of people don't like to read anymore, so I'm working on the audio book for this book. The book's available. You can buy it anywhere you buy books. But the audiobook is coming out soon, so you get first access to the audiobook. And I'm into affirmations. The third thing on there is to download my affirmation app, where you'll get an opportunity to have a daily affirmation to help keep you in the believing in yourself, knowing that you are here on purpose, you are a gift to the world, and don't let anyone take that away from you.
Yeah, you're supposed to be here because God got you here.
That's
If,
right.
if individuals can go to Karol V as in Victor Brown.com, KarolVBrown.com, and you could download, you could check out her books, you can learn more information about her if you want her to come to your organization and speak. I think it's important for married women to hear your journey. Married women who are not always happy, or those who are happy, because things could change. Right? Just oh, I was always in this abusive marriage. Things change. And what do you do when the person that you love changes on you? And that's for men too. Because women are changed as well. Like people change over time. You're not who you are in your 20s, when you in your 40s, in your 50s, you change. And so I think it's important for people to be able to hear your voice. And I honor you. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us today.
One other thing.
Yes.
I call on the grandmothers because the women my age, 50 and older, we know the stories of ourselves or our friends. And it's up to us to tell our young women to know what the difference is and what love is and what it isn't. To let them know that they can trust us to come and help them. So I call out the GGs. So I have my podcast is GG United by Love, and so yes, it's important that yes, we need to reach out and share our wisdom and love with younger women and girls.
We do. We do. Our experiences. And even if we feel like they're not listening, because
Right.
they'll come back. My daughter, she don't always listen, right? And hopefully she listening today. But she'll come back and be like, man, Mom, you were right. But she heard me. She didn't necessarily act on it, right? But she heard me,
Yeah.
she heard
Yeah.
me.
They
She
hear
did
it.
what she wanted to do. But we are responsible for passing that knowledge down. And then it's up to them to receive it. But we are charged with that. So thank you for that reminder that that is what we're supposed to do. Even if we feel like they're not listening,
Yes.
we're supposed to do that. Because they are.
Yes.
We just don't always act. So carolbrown.com is where you can find all of her books, speaking engagements, to be able to hire her and to just be able to love on her. Just have her come out to your church because she love going to church now. She know Bible study. She come out to your church.
Thank you, Dr. Vanessa. I really appreciate this opportunity to speak
Uh,
to your audience.
You're so welcome. I wanted to take a moment to remind everybody about Warrior Soul. Warrior Soul is our song that represents Hush No More to all survivors around the world. I would love for you to check out Warrior Soul on YouTube, Spotify, or on Apple Music. Also, y'all know October is getting here real fast. We are already in October's getting here really quick. So we would love for you to create a team, help raise money for our domestic violence wall. You could create a team or register virtually. You do not have to be in Columbia, South Carolina or Irmo, South Carolina to walk with us. You could do it online in your own community. So I would love for you to go to hushnomore.org and sign up for our domestic violence walk. Share with individuals. This is how we raise money to be able to support survivors. If you love this content, please share this content because you never know who needs to hear this message because it is big. People are struggling. If you need to reach out to us, you can go to hushnomore.org. You can follow us on all the social media platforms, and our number is 1-888-285-2161. Reach out to us. I love people supporting and just having this space where we can help one another. Okay. So before we leave, I just want you to know that you have a right to tell it and heal. You don't have to live in silence. You don't have to struggle. You can move. All right. Peace and blessings to you all.